But if you read the statistics, by the year 2050, there's going to be 9.3 billion people on the face of the earth, and we're going to have to do more food production with less land. You know, history is one of those things that if you don't remember history, you're doomed to repeat it, that kind of thing. We have built an agriculture machine that is probably the envy of the entire world, and we did that out of research and teaching. And we have met the needs of the population so far. Now, Thomas Malthus back in 1789 said that we would reach a point where we would not be able to meet the needs of a growing population. We've proved him wrong so far. But if you read the statistics, by the year 2050, there's going to be 9.3 billion people on the face of the earth, and we're going to have to do more food production with less land. So we're going to have to prepare graduates to be able to meet those needs. Back in the 30s, when the Hatch Act was passed and the research experiment stations were put on the campuses, you could really effectively change agriculture by adding soybean meal to a swine diet, and you could change the profitability of your swine herd. Well, today you can no longer do that. We are looking at taking an isolated gene from mitochondrial DNA and trying to manipulate that to make those hogs gain better or make cattle deposit marbling better. That's how intricate this thing is and how it's become scientific. We have to be able to teach that. In light of that, you guys are all familiar and all know this, that we have passed a $6.5 million bond issue to build us a new ag facility at the university. Hopefully, we will sell bonds. We'll have money in hand by the end of April. Try to break ground sometime in August, I hope. So we're going to be staging that, and that's what we're kind of busy on right now. But we need to develop that building, to design that building, to be able to teach some of these scientific methods that we haven't been able to teach before. It's agriculture is so intensely science these days. It used to be all about husbandry, but it's so intensely science these days, and we have to be able to build us some classrooms and some laboratories that we can teach this. Do we want to forget the husbandry part? No, we don't. That's one of the big conundrums of agriculture. There's nothing we can kick off the curriculum. We still have to be able to have good producers, but we have to have good scientists. We have to have good ag business people. So we're trying to incorporate all of that into our program at SAU. We have just seen a shift, and we've been seeing a shift, where we have very few students coming to SAU off the farm. Most all of them are not farm raised. If they raise their hand, if you ask them, were you raised on a farm, and they raise their hand yes, chances are they probably had a show lamb or a show steer, and they consider that being on the farm. But since farming statistics and the number of farmers have decreased and the size of the farms has increased, saw a statistic the other day, 1 out of every 1,000 people in the United States is actively engaged in production agriculture. So there's not a whole lot of opportunity for students to come off the farm. When they don't come off the farm, we have to give them the education on the farm, and that's what we use our farm at the SAU for, is to give them husbandry skills, allow them to work their way through school. Rusty takes care of the farm, does a fantastic job with that, Rusty and Bart, and all of our students that work out there are getting the husbandry education that they need. We just need to ensure that we kick it up a notch and we get them the scientific education that they need. For instance, geospatial information systems, GPS. We need to be able to teach GPS. It's a very complicated thing, but we have to get to the potential of teaching GPS. We have to be able to produce agricultural products sustainably. And one way that you can do that is through GPS and limit your agricultural inputs. So we're going to try to initiate a geospatial design systems course in the next couple of years, maybe the next couple of semesters, where we can start teaching stuff like that. But all those things we have to take into account, because once you look at it, you analyze it, and you go to bed at night, and you're thinking, the freshmen that I teach today are going to be feeding me when I retire. They're going to be out there in the agriculture machine producing the food that I'm going to purchase when I retire. And unless we train those students right, we could be in danger of losing the food supply. So we have to ramp up our scientific basis, and we've done that. We've instituted probably the largest curriculum change in the history of SAU, and we did that this past semester and got it approved. I'm talking about since SAU was built in 1909, in the ag department, we've had the largest curriculum change probably in the history. So we're going to ramp up the science. We're going to ramp up the ag business. We're going to ramp up the mathematics. We're going to, ramp up the husbandry. We're going to turn out some really good agricultural graduates that when they get out of here, they can go on to graduate school, go on to vet school, go on to careers, and they'll change the landscape of agriculture. Because this thing is rolling now, and unless we start now, we're not going to be able to meet the needs of the population by the year 2050. They predicted in 1978, I was reading the chart when I was in ag economics, by the year 2005, 5 billion people will have to be fed, and we missed that by about 1 billion people, somewhere half a billion people. But we're going to have more people, have to do it on less resources, and we have to have better graduates in order to prepare for that. Now, one thing we'll talk about, I'll just briefly mention the state of the agriculture department. We're great. We've got a great faculty. We've got a great staff. We've got great students. Our student quality is superb. We have students, this past year, one of our students got accepted to medical school. So we'll have some getting to vet school in the next couple of years. We hope to have we'll have one going to graduate school this year. We've got excellent student quality. I think that the enthusiasm for SAU is up throughout the state. Today we'll have some 800 children, 800 high school kids down here for the Southern District CDEs. A lot of them have told me they want to come to SAU. If those students choose to come to SAU, then we're going to give them the best education that we possibly can do. And it's not going to be an easy education. I think in some parts of the world, agriculture education is fairly easy, but it's not going to be easy at SAU. It's going to be a really, really, really tough major, because they have to know the science, the math, the chemistry, and the ag business skills to be able to get out and rock the world